And we are back on the show. We got a really cool guest today. She's an actress. She is a certified yoga instructor, and she also exists in both the Marvel and DC universe. Leah Gibson, thanks for coming on.
So happy to be here. Thank you. You make me sound so interesting.
I always try to come up with a really cool intro for everybody, but yours is easy because you have a lot of cool projects on your resume. So obviously, I mostly talk about fitness with people on this show. Um, you are serious about your fitness. You're a certified yoga instructor, but I also saw that you are a hypnotherapist and
Yeah.
an energy healer. Is that
Um,
correct?
these things are correct. Yes. Yes.
I want to hear about I want to learn about each of these individually. So what is Kundalini yoga for people that don't know?
Great. Great question. And why it's a great question for me to talk about is because I I've been practicing different forms of yoga for probably 25 years now. Not to age myself, but and I grew up a dancer. I grew up very active, running, playing sports, this and that, and even in the gym, like weight training at an early age. So when I discovered yoga in my late teens, early 20s, it was the sort of the Ashtanga styles, the hatha, the flows, the sort of on the verge of like a vigorous sort of workout, right? For me at that time, it was more about a different way to work my body, a different way to stretch and but feel toned and kind of exercise these very particular sort of smaller muscles in my body that I couldn't access in a weight gym, this and that. So that being said, for 20 years, I was in hot yoga classes. I was in like the vigorous advanced Ashtanga flow classes, this and that. And it wasn't until just a couple of years ago that I discovered Kundalini yoga, which is completely different to me. To me, it's completely different. Now, while there are similar aspects and certainly similar poses like sun salutations and some of the sort of classical hatha poses in Kundalini, a Kundalini class and a traditional Kundalini practice is really very much different from anything I had experienced before. And some of the reasons that I would have gone to a yoga class, a hot yoga class, Bikram, Ashtanga, whatever, for the workout. And so it was almost like when I discovered Kundalini yoga, it was through a dear friend of mine at the time, and she had a long time practice with it. And I didn't really, when I went into the Kundalini class, I didn't really know, I had no idea what to expect, really. And I didn't know really what was going on. Like it was a new experience for me in the class. It was different than any yoga I'd ever done before.
Yeah.
And I didn't actually quite know like what to make of it for myself. But it turned out after sort of experiencing it a little bit, getting to know more of the people involved and learning more about the tradition of the practice, it started to call to me more, pique my interest more. And then 2.5 years ago, I went through a particular transition in my life, and a yoga teacher training program for Kundalini yoga kind of fell into my lap at a really particular time for myself. And I felt the deeper call. So I jumped in and enrolled myself in this teacher training program, which was a 10-month vigorous training program. Now, Kundalini yoga, long answer for your question.
This is great. This is great.
Kundalini yoga is, as I say, slightly different than the other forms of yoga that I was accustomed to at the time. Kundalini refers to awakening. It is the yoga of awakening, the yoga of higher consciousness. So it is a form of working the physical system of the body in very particular intentional ways to balance the hormonal system of the physical system, to open up the energy channels of the body, and to deliver us to a very particular energetic state that allows us to essentially access our higher awareness. So, a traditional Kundalini class, a traditional Kundalini practice is three parts. Only some part of it is physical. Another part is breath work, pranayama, which can be very vigorous and very sort of precise. And the last form is a form of meditation that can be using chant or without chanting mantra. But the 3-part class, it's so much more than just a physical practice. It's not with the intention of reaching an aesthetic in the body. It's more about opening up the energy systems in the body. So for me, it was able to kind of to envelop this practice into my physical practice, because I know we talk about on this podcast a lot of physical training.
Yeah.
But as you know from what you do, and the listeners in this podcast, when you work the physical system, yes, you're reaching, particular aesthetic in the body, you're strengthening particular muscles, but you're also shifting the energetic composition of the total system. You feel differently in your body when you strengthen a particular set of muscles, and it shifts the hormonal balance of the system. What we know after a good workout is we feel good. No matter what, no matter how hard, no matter what was happening before the workout, you feel better following a workout. And with a commitment to the practice of working out, you're able to strengthen your system even more. And you just are on a track of feeling good, feeling better. So for me to kind of take my energetic awareness into my physical practice, that's what Kundalini has kind of represented for me, and allow for myself to even reach the thought forms that come with that, to have the awareness mentally, the intellectual capacity to sort of understand these things and create more of a conscious routine for myself. That was a very long-winded answer.
That's great. I love it. I've been working in fitness forever, and so I love to learn about different types of exercise that I maybe haven't practiced myself. So I think that's super cool, and I think it's important, like you said, we often talk about lifting weights and doing these kind of things, but connecting more with the spiritual side of exercise, I think, is really important too. So now I want to hear about the hypnotherapy. Tell me about that. What's the deal with that?
What's the deal with hypnotherapy? Well, essentially,
another loaded question for you.
Essentially, so I'm an actor. I've been working professionally in the industry for 15 years. It's been a journey, but I started performing a long time before I started working professionally as an actress. And my relationship to creativity and to performance in particular, and to character work and all of that world, it's been at times, anyone that knows this, that experiences creativity, we all know it when we reach a sort of flow for ourselves. And it's like being engaged and aware, and also allowing something to move through us in whatever your creative medium is that you're practicing. And for me, I've fallen in love with creative expression through performance, because of those times where I'm so much in the flow of being something else, being someone else, that I lose myself and experience this sort of really beautiful altered state. That may sound a little woo-woo, I admit. And it's why I've just always loved being an actor, and everything about the creative exploration of what that is. So long story short, creativity and performance has never really been all of that separate from my interest in spirituality. And the more years that have passed, and the more personal experiences that I've had both in and outside of the industry, the more that's blossomed. We go through challenges and we seek answers. We want to improve ourselves and set goals, but we want more than just what that might look like from an outside eye. We want the inner transition. We want the inner transformation. We want to feel fulfilled and purposeful. So all of these things, my career has never not been about sort of dabbling in spirituality and having an interest in that whole world. So hypnotherapy to me is just one of the modalities that I have found an interest in, and practice certification in the spiritual activities that I've been up to. Meditation has always been a big part of my relationship to character work. Um, Man, I personally believe it is the case for a lot of people, whether they really call it that or not. But as I say, being in a relaxed but engaged mental state where we're able to receive creative ideas, inspirations, and solutions. So, so the hypnotherapy in particular is something that I discovered through a spiritual mentor of mine. I took a certification program with a particular type of modality, and it's just one way that I love working with others one on one in a way that allows them to relax into a state of deep relaxation and step outside of their constantly narrating, thinking, planning, organizing brain, and go into a state of, as they say, deep relaxation, and converse with them and work with them energetically in that state. Anything that allows us to relax and open more deeply, and essentially restore ourselves organically to the natural healing process that our body constantly wants to be restoring itself in, is where the hypnotherapy is resting.
You mentioned it a little bit in that answer, but I was going to ask about how do these different types of things that you do, how do you incorporate that into these roles that you're playing in terms of preparation and stuff?
Right. Well, I use these spiritual practices every day. They are they're just a fluid part of the way that I work as a human. Um, and when I have the time in my schedule, I will make a devoted practice out of my meditative yoga practice every day. And when I don't, like right now, I'm so busy, I'm up and out of bed and on the go. I still have ways that I know how to tune in and tap in and reach that state of deep relaxation, and being able to be on set when you're surrounded by sometimes over 100 crew members and there's a lot going on, and everybody's job is incredibly important, and your job is only one job of the 100 jobs that need to be done to get the shot. And so, because my job as an actor, moments before I step onto my mark and have a camera here, which is the eye of millions,
Yep.
potentially capturing something that they're looking for, I have to be able to tune in and access my place of deep relaxation and inspiration and deep connection, no matter what is going on around me. And that means when people are, tucking at my costumes and tucking at my hair and fixing up my face, or,
Yeah.
people are coming to give me verbal adjustments, this and that, and being able to process that information on the fly and completely tap in. And so all of these sort of highly woo-woo spiritual stuff, it is my jam for many different things that I do throughout the day, from every step of the process as an actor for me, whether it's preparing or whether it's stepping on to this sort of sometimes pseudo chaotic atmosphere.
That's very cool. And I can tell you're super stoked about it, which is the best part.
Yeah.
What's energy healing? How does that work?
So, energy healing. So, I am certified in a form of energy healing called constitutional energy healing. It is a derivative of an ancient energy healing practice called Satnam Rasayan, which is a form of energy healing that was an offshoot of Kundalini yoga. So this form of energy healing, constitutional energy healing, is a certification program that I took recently that is able to be conducted remotely, so over Zoom or FaceTime. People think I'm outrageous when I say this, but it truly, it's no different. And it's very simple, and it's beautiful work that I'm deeply passionate about. But essentially, it involves going, for me to go again to that meditative state. It's called shunya, the zero state, the state of no noise, where my narrating mind quiets, and I go into that space of total stillness, a place of spirit, which is again what I step into before I step onto set and into my mark. But in Shunya, it's a state of, again, of hyper awareness and being totally present in the space that is not how do I say, dealing with the interferences of me being present in my physical system and in my environment. And from that space, I'm able to interrelate with you. Interrelate mean connect with you in a way where I'm able to receive information about your physical system, your energetic system, and your system then informs me of what needs to be, or what would like to be, what would prefer to be shifted, opened up, healed, and restored the way your system would prefer to be. I know that sounds deeply woo-woo, but I like to explain it to people as similar to Reiki, but it's not Reiki. I also like to explain that it's, imagine that you're in a living room and you're laying down on the couch and you're just resting. The lights are off, and if someone walks into the room and you don't hear them, maybe you have something over your ears, but you know they're there. You feel they're there. You feeling their presence. That's you sensing the presence of someone else. That's sort of the beginning of how I like to describe. That's how we interrelate with one another. It's an energetic awareness and then linking with intention.
Very cool. I've only got you for a few more minutes because you're shooting a movie right now. So I really appreciate that you did this quick interview. So I got to get this question in because I'm a big comic book nerd. You've worked on lots of really cool comic book movies, from Watchmen, iZombie, Jessica Jones, and of course now Batwoman. I mentioned before that you exist in the Marvel and DC universe. What's that like when you're prepping for these roles that are going to have this already sort of high expectation from nerds like me that are big comic book people? Did you read comic books growing up? Did you watch cartoons? What was your sort of experience with that world before you stepped onto set and saw these people in all these superhero costumes?
I like to just approach it as I would any other role, which is just wanting to do the character justice. And with any role, with any character that has a pre-existing history, meaning that it maybe comes from a line of legacy of writing, or maybe it's like the movie I'm about to do right now it's based on a real life story of a woman, whatever that means. I want to be able to honor that truth the most authentically way as I can, the most authentically as possible. And it's so exciting and such an honor to work in the comic book medium, because there's a lot of energy around these stories, and they are essentially live action archetypes that we are moved by as children, and that we seek to identify
And as adults.
with. And as adults, yes, and as adults, because they empower us. The very idea empowers us, right? They represent certain qualities that we could only dream might be possible of awakening within us. And so there's a lot of magnetism and energy around these ideas. And I just, as I say, I just like to honor the history, the legacy, whatever the character is, as best I can.
Right.
And just try to do the fans.
Of course. Always. Okay. I got a quick speed round for you.
Yeah. Okay.
It's all fitness and comic book questions. Favorite yoga pose?
Favorite yoga pose? Downward dog. I mean, it's just the best, most delicious thing. It feels good.
Classic. Favorite Marvel superhero?
Favorite Marvel superhero? I love JJ. I love Jessica Jones.
Good choice.
Her. I always have.
Best place to practice yoga?
My friend's at-home gym space right now. I had the best. I know it's COVID friendly. We're not in studios, but he's got this great space, and I had just the most amazing yoga practice yesterday. And I was like, "This is my favorite place to practice yoga."
Who wins in a fight, Superman or Batman?
Batman.
Good choice. What's your favorite cheat meal?
My favorite cheat meal is, oh my gosh, I want to say like a peanut butter ice cream, like a
Mm,
peanut butter ice cream, like a peanut butter chunk ice cream.
nice. Who who wins the next fight? Jessica Jones or Tatiana?
Oh, that's evil,
Yeah.
Brady.
Different universes too,
Tatiana,
but
Tatiana.
yeah.
She got
Okay.
swords.
Yeah, of course. What's your favorite breakfast?
My favorite breakfast is, I love this question, is a quinoa flour free range egg pancake
Yeah.
topped with almond butter and
Oh,
chopped green apple and some sport. That's my favorite. That's my
oh my
favorite
God. This sounds
breakfast. Yeah,
like a
it's
bit
good.
of
It's good.
prep, but
It's
I
good.
like it.
Yeah, it's good.
Who's the best Watchmen character?
Um, mm, that big blue guy.
Dr. Manhattan. Good choice.
Yeah, yeah.
If if you could practice hypnotherapy on anyone, who would it be?
My dad.
Yeah. And what's the best DC Comics TV show besides Batwoman?
That's an evil question. I
Mhm.
don't know if I'm allowed to answer that.
Oh, there's only 15 of
Can
them
I do a
in
pass? I'm
towns.
gonna do a
You
pass.
can do a pass. I don't want you to hurt anyone's
I have
feelings.
friends
So
on all of them. Like I can't, I
you
just
can't pick one favorite. Okay, sweet. What's where can we find you on social media?
on social media, you can
Mhm.
find me on Instagram. What is my handle now? It's at Leah Gibson Official. And then I do have an offshoot, my spiritual account, where I post the closest thing I can to teaching right now, because I can't be teaching in a studio, and channels and insights and all sorts of stuff. So that is at Kirti Kundalini.
Great. Can you spell that? Because I want people to be able to learn more about this.
Right, at Kirti Kundalini. So Kirti Kundalini, Kundalini. Did I spell that right?
I think that's right, actually. I think that's right.
Kirti, yeah.
Amazing. Okay. Well, thank you for making time. I really appreciate it. Thanks for coming
Oh,
on.
thank you so much. I'm going to run off to a script reading right now. So thank
Okay.
you so much. It's been such a pleasure chatting.
Have fun.